Shakur Stevenson says that Ryan Garcia is a hell of a fighter. He's a dangerous fighter. And this is interesting. Let me tell you guys why. Because I watch all the boxing interviews that come out. As soon as they come out, it's my job. I do this for a living. So I watch all of these videos. I love to hear what these fighters have to say. And Shakur was asked about Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney ultimately said that he would never sue a fighter for, at least the reason Devin Haney is suing Ryan Garcia for, which is battery and obviously the breach of the contract, not making weight and everything like that. And still going on with the fight, which was ultimately Devin Haney's decision. And it is what it is. Ryan Garcia shocked the world. We all saw the fight in the Barclays Center, in April of last year. It was a crazy fight. The outcome was something that nobody had anticipated, but Shakur said that he doesn't look at Ryan Garcia the same way other people do. And we know that within the sport of boxing, a lot of people write off Ryan Garcia. They say he's an Instagram boxer. And before the Devin Haney fight ever happened, I'm not trying to say Shakur, went back on his word, backtracked and changed his mind. But I think that's what happened. I think he saw Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney. You guys got to remember that Shakur and Devin have sparred each other. So before Shakur saw Devin Haney get beat up by Ryan Garcia, Shakur was saying Ryan Garcia is trash. All he has is a left hook. But now he's saying that Ryan Garcia is a hell of a fighter because he knows that Devin Haney is a good fighter. He sparred Devin, and Shakur knows that if Ryan Garcia was able to hurt Devin like that, he could hurt probably any fighter in the world who's decent, has a strong defense, ultimately can give anybody some problems. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Shakur Stevenson, before the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fight, said that Ryan was trash, but now that he saw what Ryan did to Devin, even with the positive PED test, Shakur is calling Ryan a hell of a fighter. So Shakur knows, because he's sparred Devin, that it's not easy to hit Devin. Devin's a pretty solid defensive fighter. So if Ryan was able to land that left hook, then Ryan must be special. And Shakur knows that now after seeing that Haney fight. But it took him that Haney fight to really see it because like I said before, Shakur believed that Ryan Garcia was trash. He said it in many interviews, but this was before the Haney fight. So like most of us, Shakur changed his mind because we all picked Devin because Devin was on top of his game. He was hyped up very much by every professional boxer, professional trainer, anybody within the sport of boxing, the realm of boxing, knew that Devin Haney was a great talent, but we also didn't give Ryan Garcia his credit because it's not amateur boxing anymore. It's not tag, it's not heavier gloves, it's not headgear. It's a real fight. You could always say, Ryan Garcia is not the best boxer in the world, but he can fight. So that's the problem. It's not all about boxing nowadays because it's a fight. People always say you don't have to be exciting because this is a boxing match, but also it's a fight at the end of the day. So you could get knocked out. This isn't the amateurs where it's almost, I'm not going to say impossible, but it's much more difficult to knock somebody out with heavier gloves and headgear. And when you get in there with Ryan Garcia, even if you're a supreme and blue chip prospect like Devin Haney was, when you get to the pro ranks, it's a different story without the headgear and with lighter gloves. And he found out against Ryan Garcia that it's not a joke. He fought a lot of decent fighters, fought Lomachenko, was way bigger than Lomachenko, fought Kambosos, was way bigger than Kambosos, but when he ran into somebody who was actually his size, we saw what happened to Devin. So as good as Devin is, and he's a really solid boxer, boxing's not everything. At the end of the day, this is the hurt business. This is the fight game. You can get knocked out, you can get put out cold, and Devin Haney took a beating in that fight because it's not the amateurs, this is the pros where, anything can happen. So respect to Shakur Stevenson because he could have easily said, Ryan Garcia is still trash, I'd destroy Ryan, but he said that he doesn't look at Ryan Garcia the same way everybody else does. Everybody calls him a TikToker, but Shakur gives Ryan Garcia the respect because he knows that left hook is probably the most dangerous weapon in the sport of boxing right now. There's not really anybody that has a punch like Ryan Garcia. You could argue the tank uppercut, but it hasn't been a thing as of recent. Ryan Garcia's left hook has been the story of boxing for like the last 4 or 5 years already, maybe more. But, you know, we'll see what happens when Ryan Garcia faces off against Rolly Romero. I think he's going to end up stopping Rolly, but still a really entertaining and unpredictable fight in my opinion. But let me know down below what you guys think about Shakur giving credit to Ryan Garcia. I think it's all, you know, respect. At the end of the day, these guys know how hard it is to be professionals at this sport. So, you know, much respect to both guys. But let me know down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next Nabs Boxing video. Peace.